Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome. I don't know why I always do a monster truck entrance. Have you ever been to monster trucks?
Oh yeah,
I haven't.
Gravedigger, baby. Let's
I've
go.
seen it. Yeah, I know Gravedigger. There's like a Minotaur one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's the
there,
lore behind that is really interesting too. Like how they've
there.
existed for since the inception of monster trucks.
Yeah, that I don't think they've really changed that. I did see they are coming to the Lincoln Arena,
Are you
but
gonna go?
it's always like on that price level where it's just like slightly too much for me to do for a laugh.
Really? I think when I went, it was like $30 a ticket.
See, that's too much.
that's too much for trucks.
Like for something I'm unsure of.
Yeah, I
And
mean it's
also it's
really
just going to
fun.
be a lot of screaming children.
It's a lot of screaming children, and it's fucking. Have you been in NASCAR?
No, I haven't been to
Ah,
any like live engine sporting event.
live engines.
Like essentially, yeah, I haven't been to like that or as I think we had talked about in a callback to a previous episode, midget racing
Yes,
in
the
Lake
midget racing.
Savagery, which
But you are
again,
a fan of duck races.
I am. Oh, forgot to mention, completely missed him again.
You knew that they were coming and you still didn't go.
No, I didn't. I didn't see anything on
Isn't it the same day
Facebook.
every year?
I don't think so. I think it's generally like maybe the whatever first weekend of February or
It's wild to me that they would make an outdoor duck race event in the middle of winter in the
yeah.
Midwest.
Yeah, I I thought I was subscribed to the Facebook things, but Facebook did not show because that's the only way you're gonna know about duck races.
Well,
Is
it's like Fight Club, you don't talk about it.
yeah,
You just either you're brought in by somebody who's part of the duck race family
yeah.
or you just don't know it exists. So that's the problem is you're not ingratiated in
I
it yet.
essentially only go to animal races.
Yeah.
That's what I'm realizing.
You
Because
human elitist.
I've seen the piggy races. I think we've talked
Oink
about
oink.
at the pumpkin patch.
Oh, I love the pumpkin
It's been great.
patch, dude.
It's again, it's becoming like too expensive.
It's too expensive and it's too popular now. We
It's
went
yeah,
last time we were back and it was crazy.
yeah. Me and Abby haven't been for years because maybe it would be different if we had like kids because that you do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
just to go as two adults to it at this point,
Yeah.
unless we were going to take off work and go on a weekday day.
That is a good thing about the pumpkin patch in Nebraska is that they do have matinee prices.
They do.
Most places are just like one fee all the time, but
Yeah.
the pumpkin patch they know how to gouge.
Well, it's yeah, but then again, if you do go on a weekday, because that's the last time you know, it's just like you and a bunch of kids on field trips,
Yep,
which is
absolutely.
somehow worse because it's like two parents and 40 second graders.
And then they're always around that slide. You know the slide I'm talking
Yeah.
about. The best slide in existence. They're always gathered around that, and I'm like, dude, I want to go too. You guys are hogging
I
the
want to
slide.
get in the burlap sack.
Yes, it's the best.
And then if you go in even the child friendly haunted house, it's just squeals.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I will stick to this, and I know we said this before, but I will stick to my guns on this. We do have in Omaha, or I guess it's not Omaha, but in Nebraska, we have the best pumpkin patch in existence by far.
I've been to a lot. I've realized growing up, I thought oh yeah, that's what everyone does. And then when people hear pumpkin patches in the other places I've lived, they're like, yeah, just it literally is a pumpkin patch, like a pumpkin farm.
Yeah, you just go and you pick a pumpkin and leave.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, we might have cider.
Yeah.
Versus our theme park level. It is almost a theme park level esque.
It kind of is now, especially.
Well, isn't that kind of how? What is it? Is it the farm theme park in LA?
Oh, Knott's Berry Farm.
Knott's Berry. It probably like kind of Knott's Berry probably started out like kind of like that, and then not a fan.
Fucking sucks, dude. That place
Why?
stinks.
Like actually like smells bad,
No,
or
it
just
just kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? Like
what?
it's got nothing on Vala's.
Which is funny. I thought you were gonna say like Disneyland or Universal because it's in that. No, it's even worse than the uh Pumpkin Patch not theme park of. I think it's probably in Gretna.
Gretna, yeah, Gretna,
which
Nebraska.
is pretty much Omaha at this point.
Yeah. Look at us talking about fucking Pumpkin Patch in February.
It started out with the duck races, and then
Yeah.
So
Can you tell we're ready for February to be over already? I have been, by the way, in the shittiest fucking mood.
well, it's because it's February. I think that's another theme of this podcast of like February is the worst month.
I hate it. I don't even attribute it strictly to February. I thought it was just a coincidence, but god damn, I've been not happy lately. Everything's just bothering me.
I think it's because you guys have finally got rain, and then you're like, oh, like this is really great. Like you guys really need all that rain. Like
Yeah.
But then you're like, after like a week of it, you're like, I didn't live in Seattle.
Yeah. It's finally, I mean, it's sunny today, which is great.
Yeah.
But no, man, it's just like February always sucks because it's right after all the holidays, so you're getting back into the swing of real life without holidays.
And you
it's
were
also
just in Hawaii.
I was just in Hawaii. Now we're getting back to reality.
I'll go on my tangent later. I gotta tell you about my friend's Hawaii trip, but let's listen to the rest of your bitching.
Oh yeah, I do want to hear that though. But no, it's just like plus it's a short month, and plus so I know we don't talk about our current jobs that much for obvious reasons,
Yes.
but to keep it vague, I work basically remote, and once or twice a year they make us go on site, and they make us bring everybody on site, and I'm the supervisor of 21 people, and so bringing them on site is always a fucking hassle.
But at least for like on site for you is like not that far away, correct?
It's not that far away, but the thing is that we just don't have the space or the equipment to bring these people in.
The Wi-Fi is just crashing because like this wasn't meant for 20 people. Like
yeah.
My
so
office has the same exact problem.
It's just a hassle, and then the reason I'm furious about it is it started out our on-site was supposed to be in December for a holiday party.
Yeah.
And then it got moved to January for like a beginning of the year party.
Yep.
And now they decided, oh, you know what? Let's now plan it for February, the shortest month of the year, when it's Damien's turn to host the staff meeting this month.
Yeah.
And so now not only do I have to come up with the whole staff meeting, I also have to bring everybody on site and get all of that figured out on my own as well. So I'm just like, that's bothering me. I have 20 days left in the month to get this stuff figured out. And it's just like, that's a pain. Plus work just sucks lately.
Yeah.
And also, can we stop as a society saying 1000%? Can we just stop? Dude, that shit, I snapped on somebody the other day. You saying 1000% doesn't
like
make
you got a case of the Mondays.
Yeah, that's
what you sound like.
Yeah. It's because Mondays is the start of the week and I hate it.
I don't know if we've really gone into like corporate jargon.
I try to stay away from it because there's nothing more infuriating to me.
It's like, why? I did have a really good joke this week that felt so flat in my meeting.
Yeah.
So do you use the term stakeholders at your
of course we
place
do.
of employment?
We're going to have to circle back to this topic. And then if you wouldn't mind bird dogging it for a little while, and then go ahead and put an ad hoc meeting on so that we can circle back to that.
Yep. And so it was a stakeholders meeting. And so I came in and was like, guess this is a meeting of vampire hunters, stakeholders. Felt so flat. No one wasn't there for that BS.
I appreciate. So here's the thing. I appreciate you at least making the fucking attempt to be a little creative in your joke. It was a shitty joke, But
it was. It was.
I
It was-
appreciate trying.
It was exactly what the meeting, like the level of the joke, the level of the meeting was.
Well, but it's like I'm trying to swing low so that it can be work appropriate and
Yeah.
everybody can kind of get it. And that's one of the things that bothers me so much too is I've been in this position now in a officially like corporate environment for like a year now, in this position in like a year now. And so I'm running meetings, I'm in meetings all the time and all this stuff. And like the jokes that happen are spine chilling. It is so bad. It's always the same fucking bullshit every time. And so like I try to spice it up a little bit. So, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but some dipshit in a meeting forgets to unmute when they're supposed to be talking.
Yeah.
It happens every goddamn day.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's not that difficult to know when it's muted and unmuted. And they're like, sorry, I forgot to unmute. Guess I need more coffee. And I'm like, that's not a joke. It's not a joke. But anyways, I digress. And I say, yeah, it looks like you're going to have to mainline your coffee. I'm in healthcare. Mainlining I thought would be funny. And everybody just goes, mainline, what do you mean? And I'm like,
heroin, Damien?
Yeah, I was like, all right, I don't know. I mean, I'll just shut the fuck up now. So it's just, I'm like, I don't belong here. I don't know. I tried to dumb down my jokes and it's still, I don't know. I just don't get it.
I purposely try not to be funny at work. Like
that's not that hard for you, huh?
Yeah, with that stakeholder joke.
Sorry, I'm taking it out on you. I don't mean to. You're funny, Christian.
Well, that would be half the listeners are like. Do you think our listeners have favorites where like they're like either they really like one of us and then hate
between us two?
Yeah. There's gotta be, right?
I mean, my egotistical douchebag self would say obviously it's me, but I think it's just because I like myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
That's very mentally healthy.
Mentally handicapped of me, yeah. No one exists other than me. Everybody else is an NPC.
Yes.
No, yeah, I think probably. I mean, let me put it this way. I hope so.
Yeah. We're gonna have a poll.
Yeah. Vote in the comment section. We'll put a poll up in Spotify. Who's your favorite host of this podcast? But it actually, honestly, that's actually a really fun topic because part of this podcast is us competing on whether it's better to remain, roam, or return. I guess we've never gotten even more granular with it. With like, is it better to stay in your hometown or not? Who's your favorite host? I think that's fun.
Yeah.
Chime off. Let us know. I'm curious.
Yeah. I'm curious as well. If
it's a 50-50 split, I quit this podcast.
I think it would be almost worth it if like no one voted or just one person.
Yeah, we get one and it's like my mom. She votes for you.
I also we at this point I think we will have had the Mike Burns episode on.
Oh my God. I'm so happy you brought that up. I've been dying to talk about it. We don't want to give, I mean, we can give whatever we want away. It's already on, right?
Well, yeah. But anyway, so we were talking with Mike, and we loved him as a guest, and I loved his podcast, and I wanted to support him. So
shout out to the Power Moves podcast, baby.
Yeah. So I wanted to buy his book, Power Moves, and so I bought myself a copy, and I was like, well, I'll send Damien one too.
Yeah, that was awesome, dude.
But I wanted to make sure you knew it was from me, so I think I addressed it to Damien the Disappointment.
You did. Well, and it's funny too because me, I get mail and I don't even bother reading it.
Yeah,
I just get it and open it, and so I open it and I see the Power Moves book, and in my dumbass head, I'm like, did Mike send this to me? Mike, wow. Mike had such a good time on our podcast that he sent me his book for free. That is so cool. I wonder if he signed it. And so I opened it up. I opened it up looking for his signature, or like maybe like a printed out gift thing from Mike Burns. And then I don't find anything, and I look at the actual delivery package and I go, oh no, okay, that's from Christian.
I love how you were probably so caught up in the moment you didn't even think about like how did he get my address?
I did not even consider it, dude. I just figured that was public knowledge at this point. Yeah, I was like, wow, Mike is a fucking, like, not only is he a great guest and a great guy, but he's like so thoughtful, man.
That's what I also had the same thought of being like, Damien might think Mike is sending this. That's why I put Damien this disappointment.
But it wouldn't be weird if he called me that either.
I don't think he heard of that in the episode. That's in a well, at this
completely
point,
different episode.
Would be a. I love how I was trying to mitigate you thinking it was from Mike, and it still happened anyway.
Well, I don't know what mitigate means.
How I predicted to be like, oh, Damien might think this is from Mike.
I 100% did. I was like, that is so nice of him, dude. I'm going to have to like send him some flowers or something. I mean, I'm not an author, so I don't have a book to return the favor, but
you write your own book.
it's just a thank you to Mike Burns book.
We just make a book version of like our the podcast, but in written form.
Yeah. Ooh. It's just a chapter by chapter book of each episode.
Yeah.
God, nobody would read that.
That'd be a long book, and
be a long book.
The grammar of it would just be.
I would have you write it, of course.
No edits.
No edits. No spell check. By the way, we haven't done this yet. I know you probably don't have an alcoholic beverage, but
No.
I do want to say cheers to a couple episodes ago, 50 episodes.
Mm-hmm. That
pretty fucking cool, man.
Our 50th episode.
No, I had no idea. I had no idea, but pretty fucking cool, man.
Yeah, we beat the statistics.
We did. Yeah, fun fact. What is it? 90% of podcasts that are popular because they made it past the 50 episode mark.
Oh,
like most podcasts don't even make it 50 episodes.
Well, it's either out of pure stupidity or determination, and probably a little bit of both.
Well, for me, I mean, I just do it out of spite for people who say they're going to be on the show and then don't show up. Which takes me to our guest today, introducing fucking nobody. Absolutely nobody is on this podcast today except for us.
Yeah, last minute, but again, I do love Damien texted me at like what I think was 9 p.m. my time of being like, hey, should we have a guest on tomorrow? And I was like, no one's going to come on. Because I was listening to a different podcast, but I can't remember.
Cheater.
Who it was.
Traitor.
Yes, I only listen to my own podcast.
It's my number one.
It is. It's my number two because number one is Sleepy Time Podcast.
Nice. Okay.
Because
you're a sleepy little boy.
Well, I'm the opposite of a sleepy boy. I need to be sleepy, and I need my Sleepy Time Podcast. Shout out to them. If you ever are like, hey, I need to be asleep, but I'm wide awake. Sleepy Time. Actually, I don't know what I don't think it's called Sleepy Time.
Also, shout out to whatever you're talking about. Come on the podcast.
They are British, so
we need some guests. No one's gonna keep listening to us talk forever.
Oh, it's called Get Sleepy. Highly recommend. All right.
Shout out Get Sleepy. Come on the pod. Listen to them. No free shout out, so we're not shouting this out officially until you come on the podcast.
Correct this in post then.
Yep.
Edit it. Yeah.
Cut it.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I've been in a terrible mood, so I need you to humor me a little bit with this story that you're going to talk about with something about Hawaii or whatever you said.
I will tell you, it hasn't been a terrible week, but so
speak for yourself.
Yeah.
It's been a terrible fucking month.
A mouse is back. Well, was back.
No.
I think because it got really warm here and then got really cold all of a sudden, and so I think
maybe it's like ants. Do you ever hear the thing about ants where like if you kill an ant, it actually attracts more?
I hope
Maybe it's like
not.
that.
It is so. We found some mouse droppings, and we're like,
Mm-hmm.
not this again. So I set up traps, and so I go down into our kitchen the next
You went down on a
morning.
mouse,
And you know what's more terrifying than finding like a dead mouse in
finding
a
a
mouse
live one.
trap? Finding the trap just gone.
Oh no!
I'm like, what? They're organized.
They got to figure it out, dude.
So
They got an advanced system of pulley systems. They're
I
like
don't know. And so I was like,
fucking
this
Egyptian mice
is not good. So what had
raised by
happened,
the Anunnaki.
I guess it had caught the mouse, part of the mouse, but he was
Okay.
still alive, and so he scampered off with
What
the
part
trap,
of the mouse? What part of the mouse did
Just-
it catch?
like a leg.
Was it just in there?
Well, I thought he was dead
Uh-huh.
because he like we finally found him like in a different room.
Okay.
He
Just
made it
you
some
you followed the blood trails like a fucking
No,
CSI
it was-
agent.
Well, I thought they maybe had taken it back because like with our kitchen with the cabinets there was like a space enough for like the mouse and the trap to get through. So I thought it got in there. And then Abby found it and was like, "Oh, I found where the mouse trap was." And so so our mouse traps, which we probably need to get different ones, are like chip clip kind of looking things.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get them out. So I'm like putting it, what I think is a dead mouse, into the bag, like a Target bag.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Shout out to Target bags, by the way. They're really thick.
They are thick. They are very high quality. They're
Great for roadkill.
Well, I'm not going out in the middle of the street, but so I put what I think is a dead mouse. So I just like drop them in. Well, as I'm walking out, Abby's like, the bag's moving. And so as I'm trying to get it out, like our backside door, like sliding door, the mouse is trying to get out of the bag. And so I had to like yeet the bag, like because he's about to come out like in our house, and I'm like, we're not having you. So I just throw the bag over our fence.
Oh no! Take that, neighbors.
Well, it like the way our house, like we have a detached garage, and so it's a fence between like our house and our garage. So it's like but so he's just like on and like I went to go pick up the bag and he was gone. And so now what I did, so this is like 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, I just woken up, and so I'm like, well, I gotta plug the hole. And so now I have like elaborate system of like chopped up 2x4s and duct tape to fill the hole. So he can't get no more mice though. So but like all this happened before like 8 a.m. on like a Thursday.
Speaking of bad mood.
Before I had a coffee, and I was just like, I was like, I probably shouldn't be operating like power
mouse
tool
traps.
saws.
I probably shouldn't be doing this mouse trap while I haven't had coffee yet.
Yeah, no, it was, and then
shaking.
Like, and then I have to go to work.
Yeah,
which luckily I work from, but yeah,
we should call this. So this reminds me, this is like the Chronicles of Riddick. It's just like a recurring thing in your life. Let's call it the Chronicles of Raddick. Clip it.
Even though they're nice, but
it doesn't matter.
So I looked.
When you put everything under a microscope, everything looks like a rat. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think so. Like, you know, again, I wouldn't know. I haven't seen a rat in the wild. Yeah. So, but I'll go into my story about my coworker in Hawaii because.
Also, before you do that, what is the deal? Okay, I always wondered this. What's the deal with rats? They're rodents. I just don't understand how, like, why do they shit everywhere? If they're trying to get around secretly, why are they constantly... The only way you ever know that you have mice or rat is because they just shit everywhere.
They do.
Do they just have, like, loose buttholes? Or, like, why is it always just dripping out everywhere?
I never thought, like... Yeah, that's literally the only reason. Are they
It's
just
the only way you
shitting
know.
that much?
Yeah.
Are they just always just shitting?
Is it like dogs who like mark their territory? They're like dropping breadcrumbs so they remember how to get out of the house or something? Like what the
Or
fuck is
maybe
going
it's just
on?
like they hear you coming, like, and you literally scare the shit out of them. Oh god!
They're coming! They're coming! I've always wondered that. Like,
Yeah,
why
no.
do they
The
just
only
shit
thing you
everywhere?
ever know, yeah, it's either
Fucking rude house guests.
or they eat your food. Like that's another thing they do.
Yeah,
That's a,
I wouldn't even notice that, I don't think. It's the shit that gets me.
it's not the you sharing your like frosted flakes with them.
No, I wouldn't even notice.
Well, that's because I've stayed with you, so I know how you open your cereal boxes is by gnawing through the cardboard.
Got to use these teeth for something.
That's how all the things are just open.
Dude,
Okay.
nothing is a bigger pet peeve to my Abby than the way that I do open boxes. Because she's one of those people who she's like, there's flaps.
Yeah.
You can just open the flaps, cut the little tape or whatever, and every time I get a box, you should have seen the way I opened the box for the book that you sent me. It's just destroyed. Like
Yeah.
there is no box left after I open it. Everything that I do, I just rip into pieces. She's like, you don't have to do that.
You don't.
I just open it with my teeth. Like,
So that's one thing my Abby gets mad about me about is I like a lot of things I open with my teeth, like not like
Mhm.
reasonable things, like things I need to tear that you can't like I'm trying to remember like if you're I know this is very specific, but like trolleys like gummy
Oh,
sour
yeah.
worms, like those kind of packages, like you can't really tear
Uncrustables,
yeah, like those kind of things that aren't like terribly damaging to your teeth.
terribly.
Yes, terrible. God, that was a terrible joke.
I'm just in the corporate mindset still,
Mm-hmm. And Abby always goes, "Teeth are tools, not are jewels, not tools." And I was
Teeth
like,
are jewels, not tools. That's
yeah.
fair.
She's like, "You have to." And I'm like, "I'm not cracking open like bottles of beer."
Some teeth are like jewels. Mine are like the end of cigarettes.
The butt of cigarettes.
Yeah, just stained and crumpled.
You got George Washington teeth over there.
Yeah,
It's wood.
just well, we could get into what his teeth are really made of if you'd like. Do you know that story?
Neither answer is good of what I'm thinking they are.
Yeah. It is a combination of horse and slave teeth.
Oh, I was thinking ivory.
No, you wish it was only rhinos who suffered.
Or elephants or whale.
Neither, none.
None. Yes.
Horse and slaves. That's who gave him his teeth.
That sounds about right for that time period.
By the way, I know you don't like him, but shout out to the Shane Gillis special. He goes into that, and it's very funny. It's a very funny bit.
Yeah, still not the biggest fan of him.
Yeah. It's just because he says the R word, huh?
No, like just his vibe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just not for me.
That special's good. I know you don't like him, but I would highly recommend you give it a shot if you're
Okay.
if you're trying to change your mind a little bit. I know I'm bad at giving
advice
recommendations.
Yes.
But I think it's one of the funnier specials of all time.
Okay, I'll have to give it a try. I think it's because I'm not a fan of the whole kill Tony stratosphere.
Yeah. But at this rate, if you say that, you're not a fan of like any comedians anymore because they've all been on it. Mark Normand, Adam Ray, Tim Dillon, all those guys. They've all been on it.
You're naming a lot of comedians.
You don't like Mark Normand?
He's okay. Like again, he's part of that stratosphere.
Oof, man. Anyways, not to get back into comedy. So tell me about this fucking Hawaii story because
Yes.
I just got back, so I'm curious to see somebody else's point of view.
So yeah, it's my buddy, and like someone had mentioned it. We were
Who is it?
somewhere, huh?
Who was it?
I don't know if he wants me to share. Well, okay, this is also going to go into a different topic. I'm just going to say William Sakauchi because that's my go-to fake name.
Oh,
You
okay.
need a
Using a fake
go-to
name.
fake name, right? Like, what's
Okay.
yours?
Okay, I see. I see what you're saying. So,
Like if
he who
someone
should not be named. We should have done this for the bit about who's bachelor party.
he was so spicy about
He
it.
was so mad.
And then I love how you actually did bleep it out.
I did. I
And he
knew.
got,
I
he
knew.
got mad about that.
I knew he'd be mad about it. So I was
You
just
can't
like,
please the man.
I gotta do it because we released a clip with the name, and then I was like, the only way to make this even funnier is to just bleep the name in the real episode.
Which also meant he listened to it. So
Yep.
out to him for actually
Shout out William Sikowski.
Sikowski. Yeah, so that's my go-to fake.
Okay, so William Sikowski,
Yep. Okay.
your buddy, went to Hawaii.
So him and his wife. So they are like on their way because being in the Midwest, you sometimes drive to the closest airport, which
Of course,
or not the closest or like the cheapest. So they're flying to they were driving to Kansas City.
Okay,
as I have done. They did not take Spirit. I don't think Spirit goes to Hawaii.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Unless it's that Aloha Spirit, Shaka, bro.
God damn it. Cultural appropriation. And so as they're there, his wife goes like, "Hey, I don't think we got a confirmation email for our hotel."
That is not a good thing.
Nope. So they're like already driving there because they're like, well, no matter what, like we have to get on the plane and like figure.
Yeah.
Well, so what had happened is they got it through Expedia.
Okay, I've learned my lesson about Expedia.
Yep, I've heard horror stories about it too because of like if shit hits the fan for the most part, they don't do anything because they don't like the way their system works out. It's
Third party.
Yeah, it's better to book directly with the hotel, even if it's a little more expensive.
Yep.
Sometimes. Well, so this is
learned that lesson in Vegas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did they fuck up your hotel pretty bad?
They did. Yeah. We had to book the room at the hotel when we got there. So we went all the way to Vegas thinking that we had paid for a hotel room that they just stole our money for.
Did you get a refund or was
Nope.
it just... Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So down with the company that shall not be named.
Well,
you owe me lots of money.
Yep. Oh, this actually I think is gonna go part back to so they email Expedia and they're like, oh, where you're actually staying is a Vrbo inside a hotel.
Wait, which means that an individual owns a hotel room?
Yeah, so it's like a condo in a hotel. Which
they must have signed up for that Hilton scheme that we just narrowly escaped.
So I've seen this with Hawaii before, where like each floor will be like one will be like a normal hotel, and then the next floor will be more of like, I guess, a timeshare. And then
yeah, that's literally what they were selling us. They were like
essentially like that, but someone was like Vrboing it out, and so they so they're like, oh, we'll give you the contact information of the person who's Vrboing it to you, and then they were like message that person. They're like, hey, we like haven't got anything and like yada yada, and then the person reminds like, oh yeah, you should have got an email like 3 days ago, and they're like, yeah, that's why we're emailing.
Yeah, we realized that.
And so well, I guess Expedia owns Vrbo, by the way.
Down with Vrbo then.
I think we're using that, aren't we?
I know I shouldn't have done that.
But Airbnb is not much better.
No, nothing. I mean, really, nothing is. With this capitalist society, you're just going to get screwed.
Yep.
Back to my shitty attitude.
We need to go back to, what was it? Like, discard the future, like, embrace the past of, like, don't vape, smoke cigarettes.
Yes, exactly. Go back to manual, dude.
Yeah. And so they fly, they get, like Expedia actually handles it for them, luckily, because they own Vrbo, and like they're fine with that. They get to Kauai.
Beautiful. That's my favorite of the islands, by the way.
But so they go to get the rental car. Rental car system is down.
God damn it.
So they have to fill out all paperwork by hand.
Ugh.
Oh, it gets worse.
Let me guess. He's illiterate.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
So that's fine. They're like, okay, get to hotel. Everything's fine there. Then his wife starts to get the flu.
Yep.
And like she like luckily is powering through it. Like everything's fine.
Wait, the stomach flu or the upper respiratory flu?
Upper respiratory flu.
Even worse. Okay. Because at least the stomach flu is like 24 hours.
Yep. But also like grosser.
It's way grosser.
Yeah.
But it's quicker.
Yeah. But it's like a day before. So they were in Kauai and then they were flying to Maui the next day.
Okay.
And so like they have to now get on a plane.
I've been hearing of a lot of people going to Maui right now, and I'm like, what is left?
I guess a lot. The southern
Interesting.
part.
Okay.
The northern part's what got hit the most, and the southern part is I don't think got touched.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyways. We'll get into that actually.
Yeah.
So they get there. They get to Maui. Everything's fine there. Rental car's fine, but he like upgrades from a sedan to like an SUV because honestly, SUV is better in Maui because of all the driving you have to do.
Absolutely.
So his wife's still sick. They go up and do the did you go to the big volcano mountain national park thing?
Yeah.
So they do that, but they do it for sunset, but they don't realize how cold it's going to be up there.
Yeah.
And his wife's
You're very
sick,
high up. Mm-hmm.
And so she immediately lost body heat. And like, so they didn't even stay all along the time.
Fucking pneumonia.
Yeah. So they get back down. Next day, they had like whale watching. And he was like, my wife was amazing. She powered through that.
Yeah.
And he was like, and then that afternoon, I started to get sick.
Yep.
And so he's like, I just like slept. Like we got back. And he was like, luckily the next like day or two was supposed to be like rainy.
Okay.
And so they're like, luckily, it started to rain and like, he's like, yeah, I just stayed in. Like I couldn't, like I was so sick. I couldn't like leave the hotel room. Like our wife like DoorDashed us some food and he's like, we passed out at like, 8 p.m. because they're both just not feeling well.
Right.
About 1:30 in the morning, they're staying out like on the beach because it's Hawaii, of course. Mm-hmm. And they have a garden level, like right on the ocean, like amazing view, he said.
Nice.
1:30 in the morning. Sometimes when you wake up just because you have like an intuition, like
oh yeah,
you wake up straight away, wide awake kind of thing. He had
like
that.
A panic.
Yeah. His panic was justified. It was 6 inches of water in their hotel room.
Holy shit.
The like seawall broke because it was raining so much. And so he was like, luckily we had most of our stuff like, on the like little fucking luggage crate thing. He's like, we had to throw some stuff. And so like he's like telling his wife, he's like, hey, we're gonna have to get out. Just grab what you can, like a backpack, and we're gonna have to try to find somewhere to go.
Yeah, evacuation plan on vacation.
Yeah, and then he was like, hey, I don't know how high the water is on this other side of this door.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I'm going to open it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to close it because of the water pressure. He gets out, and it's like, a foot or something like that.
Wow.
I think he said like mid-shin.
That's insane.
And so he gets out. He's able to close it, and then gets into like the hotel lobby because it's in a different like building because they're on like a resort, and they finally get like a room at like 3 a.m. But he's like, by that point, I am wide awake. There's no sleeping, and so he's like, "Fuck, we need to just get home." He's like, "I know we have another like day or two here," but he's like,
"It's time to go.
It's time to go."
Yeah.
Well, the road washed out.
Jesus Christ!
So half the road just gone into the ocean. And he's like, okay, I'm going to try to rebook something.
Yeah.
Like rebook our flights. And so he like went up to the construction worker. He's like, hey, can we get the fuck out of here? They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, just avoid the giant hole. And you know how I mentioned they got like an SUV?
Uh-huh.
Well, good call for him because SUVs, are higher up.
Yeah.
So it just hit the like bottom trim of the SUV, but he's like, yeah, if it was a sedan, it would have been flooded, and I would have been
Oh
like
my God.
filing a flood claim on a rental car.
So it rained that much just overnight?
Yeah, and it was supposed to keep raining for like another 20 hours.
Dude. Yeah.
And so they get to the hotel, he's sick, and when you're not feeling good and then you're in on like an international flight essentially. I know it's not like America, it's Hawaii's America, of course, but it's like the length
It's not
of
on the
like
mainland, yeah.
yeah, it's so far and so distant. It is like an international trip. And he was like, yeah, you know what's not good on a plane? Being stuffed up. And he
Tell me about it.
got a double ear infection.
Oh my God.
And he was like, so he had to like, they got back and he had to like take off an extra day of work because he's like, yeah, he's like, I physically couldn't hear.
This poor couple's never going to travel again.
No, and he was like, even talked about being a typical Midwesterner of like, he's never left the country. Luckily, they had been to Hawaii before, so he knows like how great Hawaii can be.
Right.
But
We're in a different time though, man. I'm telling you, anybody who's listening to this right now, just know if you have a trip planned, you will get sick.
yeah,
It's just what happens now. There's no avoiding it. No matter what happens, you're going to get sick if you're traveling for more than a day or two.
not looking for considering I'm about to visit you in like a month.
Get ready. You're going to be poisoned.
At least it's not. I'd be more likely on a Spirit plane like that.
Yeah,
is just
well,
a germ central.
dude, I do not get on planes anymore without alcohol wipes.
Oh, that's a good call. Because
You wipe those things down anywhere that you're going to be touching. You wipe that down and you bring it back, and it is just straight black.
Yeah,
they do not clean those planes.
Oh no,
ever.
It's a very like they pick up trash. If you're lucky, they pick up.
If you're lucky, they pick up trash. So people like coughing, sneezing, blowing their nose. People have the fucking flu, neurovirus. I mean, all of that stuff is just trapped in that plane. So
Yeah.
just know that, and it is what it is. If you're really really interested in traveling, it's not going to stop you, but
No.
just know it's going to happen.
Yeah, oh god, especially LAX. Like that is just a hub of
Yeah.
bacteria.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's,
Well, that sucks. That's really unfortunate for William
Sakauchi.
Sakauchi.
Yeah,
Shout out.
like it was just like, oh man, that is a like. Yeah, like at least you got a great story out of it, but also
That's true. That's how I always see it too. I'm like, anything bad that happens is just another story.
Yeah,
And Lord knows my shitty attitude, it builds a lot of stories.
yeah, like again, it really sucks in the moment, but then like it is a good story. Like that's gonna be a memory forever. But also,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is the fun and the excellent parts of your trip almost never come up in conversation.
yeah,
Because it's not that interesting. Oh, cool! You had a great time. How awesome for you! Like it's just one of those things where it's almost like if you talk about only great stuff, it's almost bragging.
that's where I
right?
think we don't bring it up. Like, yeah, like we both like Hawaii is amazing. If
It's lovely. I love it.
I know it's for a lot of people, it is out of the price range, and it's very far. Once you get there, it's very expensive because
Mhm.
of like again, it's so remote. But if you have the opportunity to, like, both of us growing up, like my parents could never have gone to Hawaii.
No, no, not a chance. Yeah, I don't tell the bad things to try to talk people out of trips. I
Yeah.
tell the bad things because it's interesting. And it's generally like, especially with somebody like you and I, those bad things spur funny moments to where you can make a joke about it. I think both of us are so self-deprecating that it kind of makes it better for us. But don't let that kind of stuff stop you from going and experiencing it.
I think, yeah, it's also like, I think it also shows like, in spite of those kind of things happening, we both still love it. Like, it's the pros outweigh the cons so much in traveling.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to talk about the fake name real quick.
Yes.
Because you said that and it immediately spawned a memory, and we do that a lot where we talk about old school stuff. So
Yeah.
you said fake name, and the fake name that I always go to is Robert Paulson. And if
Yeah.
you know, you don't know,
No.
doesn't okay. So Robert Paulson is the name of one of the characters from Fight Club.
No, double Fight Club reference for the episode.
Oh, that's true. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot that I mentioned that. So pretend I knew that. And
Were you one of the guys who got really into Fight Club?
I was the guy who got really into Fight Club. Like,
oh, you would.
yeah, that was like,
would.
yeah, everything about that movie is who I am as a person. That was like, I was Tyler Durden in my head. But Robert Paulson, people probably, if you've never seen it, you might know the phrase, "This is Bob. Bob has bitch tits."
Oh.
Like that's like, so it's Meatloaf. That's who plays Bob is Meatloaf. Rest in peace. And so,
yeah, he got a little crazy near the end, I think.
Well, who doesn't near the end? You know what I'm saying?
I think
his name was Meatloaf. He was probably way too overheated in the microwave.
Actually, I heard a great story about Meatloaf because he was like, he grew up very blue collar, and then he got really rich and famous, but instead of like living in like a really fancy area, he like still had his kids go to like normal public school because he was like, no, I want you to be like a normal person. I don't want you to be. And so that's what he did. And I want to say his daughter married someone, a son of someone very famous too.
Interesting. Yeah. So he's like, yeah, my childhood sucks, so yours has to as well.
Well, like to make him grounded kind of thing. Like,
you're grounded, you stupid son of a bitch. Have an attitude with me. Call me bitch tits.
Yeah. He's also in Rocky Horror.
He is. God, that movie's fucking awesome.
I do. My Abby doesn't like it.
We're gonna convert her on a lot of stuff when you guys are out here. She gotta change her brain chemistry.
Because I really want to go to a midnight showing of it.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, I'm not like,
Oh, it's once she sees the interactivity that people have with throwing everything and everybody singing and dancing, it'll change her mind.
Every time I do watch it, though, I'm like, oh, yeah, the first half is amazing. And then it kind of like starts to peter out during the second half.
Yeah.
I think everything really memorable happens in the first half.
A lot of things are like that, too, though. The first half is so much better than the second half, which is why it's memorable,
Yeah. It's like, oh, I forgot there's a second half of this.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so Robert Paulson is the name that I use when I need a fake name.
Yeah.
A lot. And it reminded me of one of my... Did you ever do prank calls as a kid?
Of course I did. I was a teenage boy in the Midwest. Yeah. Like, and someone's like recently finished basement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which is actually hilarious that you said that because that's where this happened.
Yeah,
this situation happened in an unfinished basement. We were at band practice, and we always like to end band practice with prank phone calls.
Yeah,
and so we would just open up. Remember the phone book that used to exist back in the day? So we were in a weird time where phone books and cell phones existed at the same time.
Yeah, it was. I remember them being delivered, and like. I don't think I really...
giant plastic tube bags.
Yes.
Remember that? They were like half folded in there.
Phone books were thick. Like
they were thick.
You would like use them as booster seats for children.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would, especially because I'm so short. But yeah, so
you're just at Denny's. Like, you got a phone book I can sit on so I can.
Can I have some scrambled eggs and chocolate milk?
Fucking Denny's.
Shout out Denny's.
Yeah.
So it was after band practice. We were hanging out, and of course, we always like to make a prank phone call before everybody went home for the night. So
Yeah.
we're flipping through the local pages of the Omaha book phone book,
Yeah.
and we find this place. I can't remember the name, but essentially, it's like an ice sculpture, like a customized ice sculpture
Yeah.
place or whatever. And so we were like, okay, let's call them. Like maybe we'll ask them if they can do like a customized order or something.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what the hell we were going to do. I was thinking like we had all these different thoughts. Like let's ask them if they can make like a replica ice dildo or something like that. Like we were going to ask them for
Also,
something.
I love how like Omaha, like or like mid to late 2000s, probably when this is happening, was
Yeah.
big enough to have a custom ice sculpture business. Like, how
Yeah.
much business are they honestly getting?
I mean, you'd be surprised. Those rich and fancy people, they love having those masterpieces, those centerpieces. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to think if I've ever actually seen one.
Well, a lot of people do things like that. You've probably done an ice luge before.
Yeah, but like we just bought a chunk of ice and did it ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, but they can actually do like real ones. So they have like multiple lanes.
Yeah.
So you can like line up and race or whatever.
We once tried to make one.
Uh-huh.
For
was this at DU?
Yeah, this is in the fraternity, and because DU has the physical house has a really nice courtyard. Actually, it's really cool. But we didn't realize like you have to do a very certain process for it to be like crystal clear.
Yeah,
or else it just is kind of gross looking.
Oh, it's like white and like foggy,
which we ended up using still.
Yeah. It looks like you just took swamp water and froze it.
And then a little bit, yeah. And then like, it's out in the elements because we just let it outside in a like $5 Walmart tote thing.
Uh-huh.
And people don't realize how heavy that is.
That's a lot of ice.
And then we tried to like make the like the I don't know, slide. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. The
luge part of it. By like chipping away, but then like we'd hit like air pockets. And so it was just like the worst. It would like
it's got like little caves, so half of it escapes through like little divots.
It's like rapids at some point.
Yeah.
You're like, you don't know where it's going.
Goes up your nose.
Pretty much.
That was always the worst part is when you're like under it and it goes up your nose and in your eyes and shit. Mm-hmm. Like I have pink eye 3 times a year. But
I thought alcohol was supposed to be sanitary.
Oh, it is. But no, so anyway, so we find this ice sculpture in the Omaha phone book. We have all these different, it was me and the guitarist and the drummer.
Yeah.
And we were like, we all had different ideas. So we didn't really know what we were going to do. We were like, maybe we can combine them somehow, whatever. Yeah. We'll figure it out when we call. If you're listening to this podcast, it's like when Christian and I come on this podcast, we have a bunch of different ideas and then none of it happens.
Nope.
Right. And we just kind of go with it. And so we call the number and both of them chicken out. They don't say anything when they answer. So then it's on me.
You know what's the worst though is with sometimes when we do Frank phone calls like that.
Frank phone calls?
Yeah, Frank phone calls. We'd get the giggles so bad.
Oh yeah, that's the hardest part.
But luckily I had a buddy I grew up with who could like just always stone face, like no matter what, and like he could.
I laugh really easily. I'm pretty easy to make laugh, but when it comes time, when I have to, I can really lock in, especially. And so what I did is because they were losing it, so they didn't say anything, and then they immediately started cracking.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got to switch gears a little bit. Yeah. And so what happened was instead of going like off the wall silly, I brought it down to like a grim level. And so they answer and it was silent for like 2 full seconds. They're like, hello. And I was like, hey, yeah, I'm so sorry. So I'm just calling. I wanted to know. So long story short, one of my best friends just passed away. And I was just looking through the phone book. He was like a really fun guy. We like to drink a lot together. And I thought maybe to honor him, maybe I saw your ad here and I was wondering, do you do anything like customized? Do you do customized ice sculptures? And like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, of course we do. What are you thinking? I was like, I don't. Maybe like, I know this is weird, right? And you try to
You
like bring
really
them
buy
in.
in, yeah.
You're really
You
trying to get them to buy
draw them
in.
in.
I know this is weird, right? But so we used to do. Do you know what ice luge is? And they're like, oh yeah, of
Also, why do
course,
we
yeah.
call them ice luges?
Because like the Olympic event, luging
Yeah, but it's
is,
not. I'm not laying down on my
I'm
back.
not laying down, but
I guess that's it.
um,
I don't know what else you would call it. A
yeah,
slide.
an ice slide. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. But anyway, so I asked, I was like, do you know, like, have you heard of an ice luge? I'm sure you're in the ice business. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've heard of that. They're like, yeah, we know what that is. I was like, okay, so is there a way that you could like, do an ice luge, but maybe customized with our deceased friend's name carved in it or something like that? And they're like, well, I well, we could probably try it. Like, what's the name? And I was like, it's kind of long. That's why I'm asking it. It's kind of a long name. I just don't know if it'll fit. If you'll be able to do the luge in that. They're like,
I wish
okay,
they would have
well,
been like, oh yes, the number 7, the death luge.
yes, exactly.
We call that number 7 around here.
Yeah, yeah. And so anyway, so they're really buying in, and they're like, you could tell that
Yeah,
they're trying to accommodate.
they're
And
trying
I
to get a
was like,
sale.
yeah. I mean, it can't be a lucrative business, seeing as how there's ice on the side of the road 6 months a year.
Not this year,
But
baby.
yeah,
I'll get
true.
into that.
Yeah, true. But anyway, so I'm like, yeah, so it's kind of a long name, so I don't know if you'll be able to do like the luge and the name. So I just wanted to check before I send in an order. And they're like, yeah, I mean, so what's the name? I can like write it out and see what the specs are going to be. And then it was silent for like 2 or 3 seconds. And in that time, I had enough time to smile and look up at the guitarist and the
Yeah.
drummer, and our eyes got wide. And she goes, hello? And all three of us in sync go, his name was Robert Paulson. His name was Robert Paulson. His name was Robert Paulson. And we just kept chanting it like Fight Club until she just goes, oh my God, and hangs up. I think that's the best prank that we've ever done. Because like we didn't know what was going to happen, and she asked, like, we got into the whole like name thing, and just miraculously we all just came in and was like, this is perfect.
You had
It
probably
was
just
great.
recently watched Fight Club.
Oh, of course. That's how we get pumped up for band practice.
Fight Club and probably like Boondock Saints.
Oh, I love that.
It's been a
Love
while.
that shit. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, I think the last time I watched it was when I was in Europe at a hostel
There you
in
go.
Amsterdam.
Perfect. Veritas Acuitas, my brother.
Oh,
Well, none of that hit, so
again, I have not seen it in over a decade.
well, if anybody's seen Fight Club, you'll get that. You'll get that reference. But yeah, you guys haven't had real snow yet this year.
So it's almost been a full year since we've got a measurable amount of snow.
That's pretty crazy. It's been freezing though.
It was for a bit, and then it got nice. Like a week ago, it was 63 degrees.
That's insane.
Beginning of February was 63. It's gonna get cold. Like, it's supposed to get down to like -3 this week at one point.
That's
like,
a negative for me, Captain.
like right now, it says it's like 30, but like the wind chill is 6.
Woof. By the way, I'm gonna start calling you Captain.
Captain with my. It's gonna be funny. I think one day, like when it's not useful to have the beard anymore, when it starts to get too warm, the beard will probably go away. I'm not.
No.
It literally is like so my face doesn't freeze.
Yeah. Speaking of going away, I'm done with this episode.
It's been one. It's almost exactly at the hour. Do we wait until we're like 20 seconds away? Do we keep talking?
It's I don't want to give you the satisfaction.